Itchy armpit. Oh. Anyway, right. So you, right, okay. So you were saying, yeah.
Okay. I had muted myself. Right, we're back with unmuted version.
Okay,
Right, let's go next question.
okay.
Okay, ideas on making vegetables palatable. I love broccoli mash idea, but I've had it 3 times this week. Do you have any other ideas?
Yes, I like broccoli mash, broccoli rice, cauliflower mash, courgette, big like summery salads. I
How do you
know this
make
sound.
cauliflower rice as
Oh, well, A, you
opposed
can
to
buy
cauliflower?
it. You can buy it in packets, but also you just grate it. You just take the cauliflower head and
Oh,
you just
right, yeah,
grate
yeah.
it.
But when you
Um,
mash it, do you just mash it with a masher?
yeah, boil it, drain it, butter, salt, pepper, mash it. It's good. The only thing is broccoli mash is slightly better because cauliflower weirdly seems to retain more water even after you drain it. Like it holds onto it more,
Oh.
which is interesting. I'm just thinking of a really funny, inappropriate meme about a cauliflower head. Anyway, so moving on. I like courgette. I also like to make like really big volume of salads. This is going to sound really weird, and I do understand that this sounds weird, so just bear with me. I like my salads to be warm, to have like warm ingredients. Like I love like a grilled tuna on there, or like bits
Oh,
of
yeah,
warm
yeah,
chicken, or
yeah.
like yeah, like warm like hard boiled egg or whatever. Okay, so this is something that I started doing, which is weird. But if you like salads but you want something a bit warmer, I'll do like maybe like half a tin of chopped in tomatoes in like a big saucepan. I'll pour my salad into it, stir it all together so it like warms up a bit, then put my protein on top and my salad dressing, whatever I need to. I know it's really odd, but I promise you it like revolutionized salad eating for me
Doesn't
because
it
it
make
just
like soggy
no, well, it
everything?
depends how long you do it for. Obviously, if you leave it there to like till it's hot, yes, everything will start to wilt. But if you leave it
Because
so it's
it's
still
like,
got that like yeah,
uh,
it's crunchy, but it's just like a bit warmed up. It's not like cold. I don't know why I started doing that, but I love it. I know it's weird. And also things like soups and like big stews. Like I always do for James there, like big batches of like uh bolognese and chili, and like he'll have it with rice and spaghetti to like up his calories by anywhere between 400 and 800 depending on how much he's having, and he'll like cover it all in cheese and sour cream and all that stuff, and I'll just have it again with like my cauliflower rice or whatever, which pulls my calories way down, but I'm getting my veg in, my protein, it's really healthy, it's cooked from scratch. So yeah, that's how I do it. Emma?
I'm really into Mediterranean roast veg.
Me too.
Amazing. But
Yeah,
yeah, then also, as you were saying that, I'm like, I do weird stuff like that as well. Like, I really like iceberg lettuce. Like, I love the crunch of it. Even if
yeah.
I'm like not trying to lose weight or anything, like, I don't care. Even like calories aside, I would still have it with like every meal. I just love the crunch of it. But I agree, like, I would have something hot on it. I don't think I
Yeah.
would put it in a saucepan. But what I did
It's so
do,
weird.
do you know what else is absolutely amazing for calories is stir fry? Like the
Yes,
stir
yeah,
fry veg, and you can have so much of it. But even if you have that, plus mix it in with your salad and whatever sauce you're having, like I always have sweet chili sauce on it, mix it all in. Or if you want to save calories, just use things like fajita mixed spices or something. So it
yeah,
tastes like so there's a taste there. It doesn't have to be really bland. The other thing that I want to make, this is something I feel very passionate about. Like a salad is not a salad unless you have at least 5 ingredients.
yeah.
Like the reason people are like salads are boring is because they're like, oh, it's 3 bits of lettuce and a cucumber. And you're like, yeah, but you can make salads really good if you like get loads of ingredients, try different things. So there are
No, I
loads of
make the
things you can do.
best salads. I make such good salads. James loves them. Again, if you're like higher calorie, you're doing like all those like salad topper, like seed toppings, which are all good. You can get hot ones, like spicy ones, garlicky ones, and then like croutons. And also Sainsbury's diet hack, be good to yourself dressings. They've got like a whole range, and they are like they're extremely low in calories, and they're bloody good. You would never
Oh,
know they're diet
really?
dressings. Yeah, they're really
Because
good.
I've
Like,
had them and like some of them are awful, right?
awful. But like the Sainsbury's ones, I don't know how they've just like cracked it. It's so good.
Okay, there's a few. People are saying they've heated up salads.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm really upset about? Aldi started doing these peas that were like the peas from Nando's. Like
Oh yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
now I can't find them anymore. But I was obsessed with those for many, many weeks.
I could so use a Nando's. I swear to God, like the restaurants not being open is starting to absolutely upset me now. I'm like, I just want to go out
This is
for a meal.
such a first world
I know
problem.
it is.
Oh
I know,
my
and
God, I
I know,
can't have
and
a
I see
Nando's.
what's going on in the
But
world. Like yesterday, I was so upset about the fact that there were like no restaurants are open, and then I read a piece online about how in Newquay there are 700 people like vying for this one supermarket job, and I was like, how is this my problem? Like, I need to get a
yeah.
grip.
Oh, so oh my God, someone's just said that they've stopped the peas. It's very, very sad. Um, I don't know if that's coronavirus related or if there was some kind of issue with the delivery of the peas, but I've been like waiting in the chilled food section, like just seeing if they've moved or something.
And every time you're like, oh, still
I
not
know,
here.
and like you can get takeout Nando's now, but it's not the same.
No, you can't where we are. We literally live in a
Oh,
field.
really?
It's yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Like we're so lucky we like live in a field. Honestly, just ignore me. Next, next
Okay,
question.
next question. Okay, this is quite. I worry I'm using the Granada. I think she means grenade carb killer bars
Yeah.
as a substitute for chocolate biscuit sweets. Is it okay to have two of these protein bars a day if I'm within my calories?
I would say one a day is fine. If you're really if it's better, then obviously going for something which is either similar calories but has less protein or whatever, then yes, of course. But I would try and usually I recommend with supplements like one portion of it a day is great. More than that, I mean, I'd rather you were getting like your more whole foods in there. But look, adherence is the number one thing, and if it's helping you adhere and it's helping you stay on track, fine. Emma?
I would be the same. I would prefer like one a day max. And do you know what's helpful with these things is they're really expensive.
Yeah.
Like so, and then you're just missing out on like real food. So hope maybe one a day would be better. There's loads of like fiber one bars. What are they, like 100 calories or something? Like if you
Like
want a
88.
little if you want like a little hit of chocolate or something, they're quite good. Or Maltesers aren't that high in calories. Like you can get just a little bit of chocolate might actually be better than always going for a protein bar because then you've got calories for other things. Okay. This question relates specifically to the graduate Tabata workout, but also applies generally to all the workouts. Is it better to add weight to the exercises to make them more challenging, even if that means you hit fewer reps than you would if they were unweighted? I used a 4 kilogram dumbbell for the leg raises, which challenged me more than doing them body weight, but they were necessarily slower to perform and therefore fewer reps overall.
I
I
bet
would
that's
say with,
Deborah.
pardon?
I bet that's Deborah. Deb's the grad.
It bloody is.
I
It
fucking
only
knew it was.
is. It's the one and only. Um, I would say, especially for core work, like in my opinion, the slower the better. And like think about it. So if it's slower leg raises with a weight, great. I think that's great in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's client specific. It really depends how challenged they feel, and it's really client specific. For you, Deborah, yes, I would chuck in weights for everything because you're a fucking machine. Like I've done like shoulder workouts with professional fighters and boxers who couldn't do as many reps with the same weights that you could do. And when you first did it, and I hadn't seen your before and after yet, I was like, I'm not sure. She's either doing it wrong or she's lying. But I was like, I'll just go with it. Like, I'll just trust it. And then when you uploaded your after pictures, I was like, yeah, she's a monster. She's a machine. Your shoulders are insane, girl. Anyway.
Okay, so then part two to this question. Did I imagine it or did one of you advise against taking supplements right after a workout? Something to do with inflammation impeding the body's response. I've always taken mine with my post-workout meal, so it would be good to know if it's a bad time. So that was, yes, I did say that. And you're right, it was to do with inflammation. So you don't want to take really high dose anti-inflammatories like your vitamins straight after a workout. So yeah, I would take them at another time if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
I also
take mine
wanted
with
to,
breakfast.
yeah, normally with a meal is a good time, especially because some vitamins and supplements might require food like to help them be
Metabolize.
absorbed
Yeah.
in a better way.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say thank you. You've both done an amazing job of the Facebook group transition from the original group to the new enlarged ones. You work so incredibly hard to support everyone and make sure no one gets lost. It's enormously appreciated. I, for one, feel like the group has bedded down now. Most of us got in our groove. Massive credit to you both. You're the absolute best. Thank you, as always, Deb.
I love you,
did
Deb.
you have done that? Do you remember when people did that? I look like a young teenage hood, like.
We've both gone sleeveless. I'm feeling a little bit chillsome now, though.
Do you know what this means?
And also, you're much more brown than me. Have you got it under there?
Scotland.
Show us.
Show us what?
I thought you said the EC method. Do you have it on?
No, that's what I'm going to get printed.
Okay, fine. I was like, guys, we're trying to get some workout gear sorted out, and I thought Emma was just wearing a prototype. But alas,
do you know what? Not. It's getting delivered today.
Yeah! I'm so excited. We actually need to have an accountant's roundup.
Yeah.
Anyway, next.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after. I think this question is more about mindset and not letting myself forget that I won't see that instant change. I know that I won't suddenly have super toned thighs or ripped abs, but it's just staying focused and that improvements will come. I just have to trust myself. Any recommendations on how to refocus and stop? Basically not going into self-destruct mode.
Emma, I'll let you take this one.
I think you've almost answered your own question. It's about focusing on the little improvements you can make, about what I always say about focusing on the behaviors you need to do to get closer to your goals and ticking those off as being like, that's a successful week. I've ticked all these things off. Doesn't matter what the scales say. Doesn't matter that you don't have ripped abs, because you won't all the time and it won't come overnight, like you say. So just ticking away. And also, don't like always look to where you want to be. Like, enjoy where you are now and like enjoy the process of doing this, and realize that it might take a long time, but that time is going to pass anyway. So you may as well be working towards your goals while it passes.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. Would you be worried about sodium levels? For example, MyFitnessPal telling you that they are massively over.
Okay, so I'm not really a big believer in people like, it's really unhealthy and really not great for your body's hydration regulation if you cut out salt, cut out sodium, and take all the Daily Mail health advice. So I'm always a little bit skeptical about like how much is too much. It kind of depends on how you feel, how you're performing, it's quite subjective, basically. So if you feel fine, if you feel fit, you feel healthy, you feel hydrated, you feel good, you're probably fine. But if you feel like you, I don't know, might be overdoing it a little bit, just cut out like some high sodium bits in your diet. Or if you're having high sodium things like like laughing cow wedges, for example, are really high in sodium, and you love having them, right? And you have them, all the
Is this a
time.
personal
Then,
thing? Because
yeah,
that's
it's
the most
happened to me a lot.
random thing I could
I
think
know.
of.
Because I had them before a shoot day once, and I ballooned, and I was like, what the fuck? And it's because I was holding on to water
Oh.
because I had loads of sodium. Yeah, I ballooned. Like, I kind of looked good because I looked quite full, but I also just looked pretty balloony. Anyway, so I was holding on to a lot of water. So if you like having stuff like that in your diet, then maybe just don't salt your food. Or if you love salting your food and you can get rid of the higher sodium products like that, then do that instead. But generally speaking, if you feel good, if you're performing well, your body will tell you if there's something wrong. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Emma?
Yeah, if you have high blood pressure, then avoiding too much salt is a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, it is interesting. There's quite a lot of research around this, and like, does it matter how much you're eating? And obviously you need some salt, but then also your body's quite good at regulating how much salt you have. But
Yes.
I find that I crave salt a lot,
Yeah,
and I
me
have
too.
really low blood pressure. And I don't know if it's something about that, and it's like,
Yeah, I think it is genetic, and I also think because we train a lot, I think it's a bit different. For like, I drink a lot more water than a lot of people. I know I'm thirsty a lot. I crave salt a lot, and I think it's got something to do with the fact that I train a lot and I train hard. And yeah, I think it's really subjective. You're right. There is some really interesting research coming out about this. Generally speaking, unless you are predisposed with some health issues, in which case you might need to reduce your salt or whatever, your body is very, very, very good at regulating itself. So yeah.
okay,
Next.
we will take a question from the live now. I'm really bad with evening snacking when I'm stressed, emotional, or when things don't go to plan. I'm talking 3 to 1,000 calories over. Any advice on how to handle this? As it's the only part of the day that I sabotage myself, and if I sort this, I will see so much difference.
Emma and I have spoken about this on a podcast before. So, in my experience as a coach, you have two options, and it really depends which one's better for you. One, you bank some of your calories for the evening so you can have something, like someone asked. I think that the last question was 2 grenade bars back to back, because it made them feel like they were kind of being naughty when they weren't. And I was like, yeah, bank some of your calories for later, or whether it's a huge bowl of something, oats, protein oats at night, whatever. So you feel really full and you're like getting something warm and sweet in you. Something like that is a good idea. Or actually, 3 options. Or you implement a 12-12 fast. So you say from like 7 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to eat the kid. You don't even give yourself the option. It's not an option. That's also really helpful for loads of other stuff as well, by the way. But some people, that might make it worse. It just depends who you are. And the last option is kind of what I said in point 1, but just a little bit progressed. Why don't you have really big, voluminous, fibrous, filling meals in the evening so that actually, your hunger signals that you're satiated, and you don't really feel like you need to eat more. Those are 3 options. So I would say think about what might be more beneficial for you, but you can definitely tackle it. It's just about where you channel those calories and that energy. Emma?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think just to, like, the first time you said, like, let's say Ollie's made a good point. This is something I suggest sometimes, is he says he eats the same thing last each day. So he knows that
Same.
that's like a signal. And sometimes I say to clients, like, have a peppermint tea, or after dinner, when you're done, go and brush your teeth. And then I think sometimes it's that gap between, like, if you're anything like me, like, once I start eating, I could continue eating. But once I stop, I'm actually fine again. Like,
Yeah.
I don't tend to snack between meals. I just have big meals, and then once I stop eating, like, I don't really think about food that much. And that might be like alien to you, and you might be like, oh my God, I'm always snacking. That's just who I am. It doesn't have to be. And you can finish your meal, like, have a cup of tea, that's you done for the day. And it might be hard the first couple of times when you're like sitting in front of the TV and like, oh, normally I would get up and have something nice at the moment. But honestly, after a couple of weeks, like, trust me on this, you won't even think about it because it becomes second nature. It's like the fact that you don't wake up in the night to go to the toilet and think, oh, I might just have a snack. Like, because you don't do it like that, and it becomes that easy. So I think if you like put in the effort to do that, if that's what you decide to do, you might decide actually I really enjoy and I look forward to sitting down and having like, I don't know, a bit of chocolate or a snack or whatever in the evening. And if that's what you enjoy, fine. But as Chloe's saying, save some calories for it, track it in, like plan it ahead. And I guess what often gets people is it's like, oh, I'll just open this and I'll like go back and forward and have like little nibbles of things, and then before you know it, like Trudy's saying, it's like 300 to 1,000 calories, and you're like, oh my God, I've gone so far over. So make sure it's well portioned if you are going to have it. But I would say do try and see how you feel. Like even set yourself a goal. Like if you're like, I can't see myself not snacking after dinner forever, fine. Can you do it for a week? Now see how you feel about the fact that you think you can't do it forever. After you've done it for a week, see how you feel. So report back to us, Trudy, on Wednesday next week. We would love to hear how you found that. Charlene says, I think about food all the time. I've felt hungry in the evenings after my dinner, but I've not given in because I want results. Well, that's a good start, and I honestly think you won't always think about food. And absolutely, so I've just been writing some lectures for EIQ, which is the nutrition course I've written with Amelia. And I've been like, the last section I've been writing is about leptin. So interesting because leptin controls, well, leptin is like a signal to your brain of how much energy is there. So the more leptin there is, leptin's produced predominantly by adipose tissue, so fat tissue. So the more fat you have, the more leptin you have. That's meant to tell your brain, okay, there's lots of energy here. You can turn down hunger because we don't need to take in much more. But when you think about that, you're like, okay, cool. So why is anyone overweight? Why are people so hungry? And the reason for that is leptin resistance. So when you have high levels of leptin all the time, your brain becomes less sensitive to that leptin. And that's obviously what happens when you're very overweight. But as you become, and that's why when you're very overweight, it's like, well, I've got all this energy. Why am I hungry? That's the reason. Well, that's one of the key reasons is this leptin resistance. So that's why it's very hard to lose weight initially. But as you lose weight, you become more sensitive to leptin again, which means this hunger response should work again. It's also one of the reasons that I think intuitive eating won't work for very overweight people.
No,
Like
God,
people
no.
are saying it's a good way to lose weight, and it's not, because you can't read your hunger signals at the moment. Like your own body can't read them. So how are you meant to interpret that? And it's what's really encouraging about this is that if you're struggling at the moment and you've got a lot of body fat to lose, this could be where you are. You're quite leptin resistant. But as you lose body fat and become more in tune with your hunger, like you should become less hungry. So don't think it's always going to be this hard if you're struggling at the moment, because it won't be.
Agreed. It's hard on two ends of the spectrum. One, when you've got loads of body fat to lose, because as Emma says, the signal is coming from your adipose tissue. And on the other end, where you're really, 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 really lean and you don't have enough body fat and your leptin goes into overdrive, as does your ghrelin. Ghrelin. I do this all the time. Ghrelin. So yeah, but that middle ground, this is where we kind of want you guys. You're gonna have really kind of nice level hormone levels and a really good understanding of when you're hungry, when you're full, blah blah blah. Another thing I would say though is thinking about food all the time. That's a psychological initial response to dieting, and it's hard to avoid for a lot of people. But also, really, guys, getting in that fiber. So even if your signals are a bit thrown out of whack, you feel physically a little bit more satiated, it's really going to help. So please make sure you're getting in your veg and water intake as well. It's such a tricky thing to recommend for people to help them feel full, because obviously it's one of those awful tips on one of those awful websites, and I'm not endorsing that. Obviously I'm really pro health, but really making sure that you're on top of your hydration around meals, in and around meals, it's going to help you feel that kind of feeling of satiety. So just think about that as well.
And I only because I'm like obsessed with this at the moment, or so interested in this at the moment. It's such a good point you made about like both ends of the spectrum, and it's a really good way to understand leptin. So at one end you have really high leptin because you've got a lot of body fat, but you're not sensitive to that leptin. And on the other end you have legitimately low levels of leptin. But both of these ends, your brain thinks the same thing. the signal to your brain is the same, or what it's reading is the same. So it can think that you're starving or that you have very low energy levels, despite the fact you have a lot of energy levels. So that's a really good way to understand it. Okay, we should probably move on to the next question because that took a while. Is there a point where eating too much protein has a negative effect?
We kind of did this last time, didn't we?
Probably.
It's not really like negative. You'd have to really be pounding the protein, which is hard to get in anyway, for it to have negative effects. But it is kind of wasted calories if you're blowing past that 40 to 50 grams per serving mark. Your body doesn't need that much protein at one time. It can't use that much protein at one time. So try and stick between that 30, 40 grams per serving, which is a pretty standard, like good big portion of protein.
Yeah. And also, like, yes, too much of anything is a bad thing. And I mean, if you eat a lot of protein and you've reached that point where it's saturating the muscle protein synthesis response, there's not like a problem with that. I think that's a lot of people put like, oh, anything over 25 grams is wasted. Like, it's not wasted, it's just food over that point. But yeah, especially if you're on a diet, so like maybe you're probably sitting around 1600 calories. If you're using a hell of a lot of those calories for protein, especially when your calories start to drop, that means you're missing out on other important things in your diet and flexibility. So yeah, you can go too far on protein. Okay, this is just a nice comment that I thought would like really encompasses what the EC method is about. So it says she doesn't have a question at the moment, but she's learned a lot already about changing her attitude. I already worked out a lot and I know how to track. I just don't do it consistently, and then I beat myself up when I have something quote unquote bad. I love the phrase imperfect action, and I think that's really helped me to set some more realistic and have a better perspective. I also like the common sense approach, which has helped me take less emotional view on things. It is much more helpful to think I have fat and I want to burn some extra energy to get rid of it than I am fat. So thank you both. And we're only on week 2. That's so nice because that is like exactly what we want. Right. Okay, just a bit of an admin one. Someone's asked, will we be able to access the app and the workouts at the end of the 8 weeks if we don't stay on? They say they probably will stay on, but they just wanted to know. So you won't know, but if you really, basically no would be the answer. After the 8 weeks, you won't have access.
But hopefully you would look, if you stay on, that's fantastic. Obviously we want as many people to stay. In an ideal world we would just have 100% return rate and we wouldn't take on anyone new, because my god, like the results we could get, you guys, and also like the relationships that we'd build, it would be phenomenal coaching. It would be amazing. But also if you really can't stay on for financial reasons or whatever, you should have learned enough in the 8 weeks that you can go it alone. I know that, it's easier said than done, but, you just write yourself a plan, be strict on yourself, be hard on yourself, and execute. So yeah, that's the goal, is that, we're here to coach you, but that, we teach you enough that you can go it alone.
Yeah. And also, like, towards the end of the 8 weeks, we will talk to you about maintenance. I mean, we talk about it a lot anyway, but how you might want to continue if you want to lose fat, or how you might want to maintain your results, because that is the most important part, is the maintenance.
Yeah. And like, what else? When the gyms reopen, I think a lot of everything will have to shift, because it's very different modality of training.
Well, I'm very excited about the gyms opening, because then we get to program. Like, I'm excited for myself, but I'm excited to program gym workouts.
Me too.
Someone's just said, it's Vicky has just said, I'm buzzing to sign up again for round 3. Ditched my personal trainer for you guys. I don't know who it was, but someone wrote something and they were talking about how their personal trainer had just given them one of your books. And I was like, well, that's great, but I'm like, what are they? Like,
I was like, good, bad. Also, the 4-week body blitz, look, it's amazing. It does what it says on the tin. It's like a really fast turnaround body transformation. It is savage. Like, when I wrote it, I was like, this will work. This will work for everyone. And it did. Obviously, it did. But it is savage. It is not a long-term solution. That's when I wrote the fat loss blitz, which I'm way, way prouder of and way happier with. But it didn't sell as well because it's true. The market
because
just
people
wants a
want the
savage
quick,
approach.
yeah,
Yeah.
they want a quick
Yeah.
fix.
Well, I
Charlene
actually am
says
gonna.
that,
I'm gonna have to go in like 1 minute because I know that James has got to do a podcast recording at 1 and I'm on his Skype. But go on,
okay.
give me what you were about to say.
I was just going to say it was Charlene that said that, and then someone has asked if there is anything for people who already have gym access, and yes, I put a post. Let me know your name and I will allocate the gym workouts to you on the app, and we will finish there.
Oh, well, sorry guys, I would have loved to have rambled on, but I know
we have done an hour.
We do
enough,
ramble a lot.
Probably enough for people.
Aren't we doing another one tomorrow? We've squished in another.
Oh yeah, to get to the end of these questions. Yeah. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
10 a.m. guys. We will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. And yeah, Emma, it's always a pleasure. Mwah. Bye guys.